They never wanted you to figure this out. There's a secret rule that runs the world, one that the elite have used for centuries to create lives of effortless abundance, power, and freedom. Meanwhile, most people remain stuck, struggling, and wondering why success feels impossible. This hidden law isn't something you'll find in textbooks or hear about in school. No one teaches it because if they did, you'd realize just how easy it is to break free. You'd stop playing by their rules and start creating a life on your own terms. They've worked very hard to keep you blind to this truth. But today that ends. There's a reason why so many people spend their entire lives working hard and getting nowhere. More than 90% of people will never experience true success, not because they aren't capable or intelligent, but because they've been conditioned to believe in a system designed to keep them chasing. We are told to hustle harder, to grind without stopping, to never give up and never slow down. It's a belief so deeply embedded in our minds that we never think to question it. We're led to believe that success must be pursued endlessly, or it will slip away. But what if the exact opposite were true? What if the very act of chasing success is what keeps it forever out of reach? Consider this. Every time you've desperately wanted something, it seemed to slip through your fingers, didn't it? The job you obsessed over, the opportunity you fought so hard for, the relationship you tried endlessly to win over. They all vanished the harder you tried. But something strange happens the moment you stop caring. When you finally let go, things begin to shift. Suddenly the job offer appears, the person calls you back, the opportunities arrive without you lifting a finger. It feels like magic, but isn't. It's a law, an ancient principle that has quietly ruled your life without you even knowing. This is what's called the backwards law. The more you need something, the less you get it. The harder you chase, the faster it runs away. This isn't just a clever saying. It's a truth that governs how reality works. Desperation repels. When you chase something out of need, out of lack, out of fear that you won't get it, you are sending a message to the world. That message is clear: I do not have this. I am lacking. I am not enough. And the world, as it always does, mirrors that belief right back to you. On the other hand, there are people who seem to attract everything effortlessly. They aren't smarter than you. They aren't working harder than you. They don't spend every waking moment hustling. And yet, success seems to follow them everywhere they go. Why? Because they are not chasing. They are being. They move through life with certainty. They don't act like they need anything, because deep down they believe they already have it. That's what makes them magnetic. They aren't seeking validation or approval. They aren't desperate for money or attention. They are aligned with who they are, and the world responds by giving them more of it. Take Henry, for example. Henry was a painter. For 15 years, he did everything they told him to do. He begged galleries to notice him. He chased curators for meetings. He networked, he pushed, he hustled. And what did it get him? Nothing. He spent 15 years in frustration, feeling invisible, feeling like he was never enough. Then something changed. One day, he stopped chasing. He stopped begging people to see him. He picked up his brush and painted because he loved to paint, not because he wanted to impress anyone. He poured himself into the work without attachment to whether or not it would be sold. And the strangest thing happened. Collectors started calling him. Galleries that had ignored him before reached out. His paintings sold out. All because he stopped chasing success and instead became it. You see, the universe doesn't reward desperation. It rewards certainty. It doesn't give you what you beg for. It gives you more of what you already are. Chase money and you'll always feel broke. Chase love and you'll always feel alone. Chase success and it will forever outrun you. But when you become love, when you become success itself, it finds you without effort. That's the shift most people will never make. They are too busy grinding, believing that if they just work harder, they'll finally make it. They don't see that their very desperation is the thing keeping everything they want out of reach. The question is, are you willing to stop chasing? Are you willing to trust that you don't need to beg for anything? That the power lies not in the pursuit, but in who you are being right now? Imagine what would change if you moved through life as if you already had everything you wanted. If you walked like someone who had nothing to prove. If you acted like someone who didn't need anyone's approval. You would stop sending the signal that you're lacking. You'd radiate certainty. And everything you once thought was impossible would start showing up for you. It's not easy to make this shift. Most people can't. They're too conditioned to believe that struggle is noble and that suffering earns them points. They don't realize that the world doesn't reward effort for effort's sake. It rewards alignment. And alignment means you move through life as though you are already there. You don't chase. You become. And that's when everything changes. Right now, you have to ask yourself, what am I desperately chasing? What am I holding on to so tightly that it can't breathe? Is it money, love, success? Whatever it is, that's where you're blocking yourself. The solution isn't to try harder. It's to let go, to stop needing, to stop waiting for something outside yourself to give you permission to feel whole. When you let go of the outcome, you create space for miracles to happen. When you stop obsessing over how and when it's going to show up, you allow life to move in ways you could never predict. That's where the magic happens. But it only happens when you release your grip and start being instead of chasing. This isn't about pretending. It's not about faking confidence or lying to yourself. It's about embodying the truth. The truth that you are already enough. That you don't need to run after anything. That everything you're chasing is chasing you back, if you just stand still long enough to let it find you. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop needing, you become magnetic. You shift your energy from desperation to certainty. And the universe responds instantly. Not because you worked harder, but because you finally understood how it works. They've kept this from you for a reason. If everyone understood this, the game would be over. People wouldn't be so easy to control. They wouldn't spend their entire lives grinding in desperation. They would move with ease, with power, with clarity. And that's exactly what you're capable of, starting right now. Stop chasing. Start being. And watch what happens next. You've probably wondered why some people seem to attract everything they want while others are stuck, grinding themselves into the ground for scraps. The common belief is that those people have an advantage. Better luck, better connections, more talent. That's the easy answer, the story we tell ourselves to explain why we aren't getting what we want. But the truth is simpler and much harder to accept. Those people aren't better. They're not luckier. They're not even working harder. They've simply figured out how to move differently in the world. They're not in pursuit mode. They're not grasping for things. They're not desperate. They are already being what they want to attract. They walk around with an energy that says, I am already complete. And the world mirrors that back to them. The energy you carry is louder than any words you speak. You might say all the right things. Work hard, set goals, even visualize your success. But if deep down you're operating from lack, from a belief that you are missing something, that you need to earn it, then that is the message you're sending out. And that is exactly what you will continue to receive. More lack, more situations that remind you how far you feel from your desires. That's why the person who acts like they don't need approval gets it. That's why the one who isn't chasing love ends up finding it. That's why the person who doesn't care about money in the same desperate way ends up being wealthy. Their energy is different. They're not chasing, they're not pleading, they're not convincing. They simply are. James was a perfect example of this. He spent years on the hamster wheel. He worked ridiculous hours. He read every business book. He invested in every course, every mentor. He did everything the so-called experts told him to do. And still, nothing changed. His bank account stayed the same. The opportunities never came. He watched people pass him by, seemingly doing less, but getting more. And it broke him. Until one day he stopped, not out of defeat. Not because he gave up, but because he realized the truth. He didn't need to chase money. He needed to become wealth itself. From that day on, James made one small but powerful change. Every morning, instead of obsessing over strategies or how to make more money, he sat quietly and tuned into the feeling of already having everything he wanted. He didn't just visualize wealth. He felt it in his bones. He moved through his day as if he had nothing to prove. He acted like someone who didn't need a thing from anyone. And within a few months, everything started to shift. Clients appeared. Investors reached out. His income exploded. Not because he hustled harder, but because he stopped chasing what he wanted and became what he wanted. This is not magic. It's not luck. It's not even about positive thinking. It's the simple truth that the universe responds to certainty, not desperation. And the second you understand this, you can shift everything. You have to ask yourself, am I chasing or am I being? Am I moving through life waiting for something to happen? Or am I already embodying the person who has everything I say I want? Because that is the difference between struggle and ease. When you stop chasing, everything you desire stops running from you. That's the paradox most people can't accept. They've been taught their entire lives that they need to work harder, push more, never stop grinding. But grinding only creates more struggle. You don't get what you want through effort alone. You get it through alignment. And alignment means your energy is already there, even if the physical world hasn't caught up yet. The fastest way to shift is to let go of need. Need is heavy. It weighs you down. It clouds your thinking. It makes you act from fear instead of confidence. It pushes what you want further away because it tells the universe that you don't have it yet. And the universe listens. The second you shift from, I need this, to I already have this, your entire reality begins to reorganize itself. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's not pretending you're rich when you're not. It's about tuning into the version of you who already has what you want and living from that energy. When you move like you have nothing to prove, the world notices. When you carry yourself with certainty, people are drawn to you. When you stop waiting for external validation, you become unstoppable. Most people stay stuck because they're addicted to pursuit. They think they have to chase opportunities, chase love, chase success. But the more they chase, the more those things elude them. The people who have everything you want aren't chasing. They're attracting. They're embodying. They're already there, even if they started with nothing. And that's why everything comes to them. You have to be willing to do something most people never do. You have to be willing to stop trying so hard. To let go of control. To trust that everything you want is already yours if you can just get out of the way. It's the hardest thing to do when you've been taught to believe that your worth is tied to how hard you work. But it's the only thing that works. There's a moment when you finally stop gripping so tightly, and everything clicks. You realize you never had to prove anything. You were enough all along. And in that moment, everything you've been chasing turns around and starts chasing you. Not because you worked harder, but because you finally aligned with the truth of who you are. It's simple, but it isn't easy. Most people will never get there because they're too scared to stop running. They're afraid that if they stop chasing, everything will fall apart. But it's the opposite. When you stop chasing, everything falls into place. You stop blocking yourself. You stop pushing away what you want with your desperation. You create space for things to come to you naturally. If you really want to shift your life, you need to start living as if you already have what you want. Walk like you already have it. Speak like you already have it. Make decisions from that place. Stop thinking, I need to get there, and start acting like you're already there. That's how the world changes around you. You don't need to hustle 24 hours a day. You don't need to grind yourself into exhaustion. You need to shift your energy. When you do that, the grind disappears because things come to you with ease. Opportunities find you. People want to work with you. Money flows to you. Not because you fought for it, but because you became the person who attracts it. This is the backwards law in action. The less you chase, the more you attract. The less you need, the more you receive. The moment you stop striving, you start thriving. It's not about effort. It's about alignment. And the people who get that are the ones who win. You've been told your whole life that success is about struggle, that you have to suffer for it. But suffering doesn't make you worthy. You don't have to prove yourself through pain. You just have to be in alignment with who you really are. When you drop the story that you have to fight for everything, you realize that life was never meant to be a battle. It was meant to be lived from a place of ease, clarity, and power. And when you get that, when you truly live from that space, everything changes. Not because the world is different, but because you are. And that's all it takes. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize they've been following a script that was never written for them. Most never get that far. They live their entire existence believing they are in control, believing they are making choices, but really they're just acting out what someone else programmed. You think you have free will, but you're just following the patterns laid down in your subconscious years ago. You think you want success because you choose it. But what if you're just chasing an idea that someone else told you to chase? What if all your efforts, all your late nights grinding, all your constant striving have been built on the wrong foundation? That's why nothing works. That's why you keep pushing harder and going nowhere. You're trapped in an identity you didn't choose. And until you rewrite it, you will stay stuck. Your identity isn't something you decide once and it stays forever. It's a recording, playing on loop, built from the things you were told about yourself when you were too young to question them. Maybe you were told that money is hard to make. Maybe you were told that you're not smart enough. Maybe you were told to be realistic, to stop dreaming so big, to settle. And you did. Not because you wanted to, but because you didn't know there was another way. But now you do. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. You realize you have the power to rewrite the script. You realize you can choose a different story. And that changes everything. Look around at the people who seem to have everything. They aren't smarter than you. They aren't luckier. But they have a different script playing in their heads. They assume success is normal for them. They assume money flows easily. They assume they are worthy of love, respect, power. And the universe mirrors that back to them. It's not magic. It's not some secret formula. It's just identity. They believe it's theirs, so it is. You've spent your whole life trying to change your circumstances, but you never changed your core identity. And that's why nothing sticks. You lose the weight, but gain it back. You make the money, but it slips away. You find the relationship, but it falls apart. Because your subconscious mind always pulls you back to what you believe is normal. If you believe you're supposed to struggle, you'll find a way to struggle. If you believe you're not good enough, you'll find proof of it over and over. It doesn't matter how hard you try. The identity wins every time. That's why willpower is useless without identity change. That's why all the motivation in the world fades. You can't outwork a broken identity, but you can rewrite it. And when you do, everything changes faster than you can imagine. Olivia learned this the hard way. She grew up believing that money was hard to come by. She watched her parents work themselves to exhaustion just to pay the bills. She heard the arguments, felt the fear, absorbed the belief that no matter how hard you work, there's never enough. So she worked harder than anyone. She pushed herself to the brink, chasing every opportunity, taking on every project. And no matter what she did, something always went wrong. The car would break down. A deal would fall through. Unexpected expenses would show up out of nowhere. She wasn't failing because she wasn't working hard enough. She was failing because her subconscious was set to struggle. One day, something shifted. She realized she didn't have to live this way. She stopped chasing strategies and started working on her identity. She wrote down all the beliefs she had about money, and she saw where they came from. They weren't hers. They were her parents'. They were society's. They were lies. So she replaced them. She told herself every single day, money flows easily to me. Wealth is my natural state. I don't have to struggle to succeed. And at first, it felt like a lie, but she kept going. She anchored those beliefs to memories of times she won, times she succeeded, and slowly her identity shifted. Within a year, her business exploded. She wasn't working harder. She was working differently. She was living from a different energy, and everything changed. You are not stuck because you aren't trying hard enough. You are stuck because your subconscious identity is running the show, and it will keep you stuck until you rewrite it. The good news is you can. And it's simpler than you think. Start by exposing the beliefs that hold you back. Write them down. Question them. Where did they come from? Are they even true? Most of them will dissolve the moment you bring them into the light. Next, create the new identity. Forget about habits for a moment. Habits follow identity, not the other way around. Ask yourself, who is the version of me who already has everything I want? How do they think? How do they speak? How do they act? Then become that version right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you hit some milestone. Now. That's how you shift reality. You stop waiting for evidence and you start living as if it's already true. Your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's repeated. It believes whatever you tell it often enough. So tell it what you want it to believe. I am worthy. I am loved. I am powerful. Repeat it until it feels natural, until you forget you ever believed otherwise. And watch how fast the world changes to match it. Daniel did this. He spent years trying to break out of survival mode. He worked hard, did all the right things, but nothing stuck. He read every book, followed every guru, tried every tactic, and still he was stuck. Until he found the law of assumption. He stopped thinking, I need to get rich, and started thinking, I am already wealthy. He stopped hoping and started assuming. And the world caught up fast. Within months, his life transformed. Not because he worked harder, but because he finally became the version of himself who had already made it. You can do the same. Right now, close your eyes. Think of your biggest goal. Feel the stress, the fear, the pressure of not having it. Now take a deep breath and let it go. Imagine you already have it. Feel the shift. That's what changes everything. That's what makes you magnetic. The world doesn't respond to your effort. It responds to your energy. And when your energy shifts, your reality shifts instantly. Stop waiting. Stop hoping. Stop chasing. Start being. Start embodying. This isn't theory. It's not motivation. It's how reality works. And the second you live from this place, everything you want starts to show up. You attract who you are, not what you want. So become it now. And let the world mirror it back. Most people spend their entire lives waiting. Waiting for the perfect time. Waiting for the right opportunity. Waiting for the fear to go away before they make their move. But the truth is, the perfect time never comes. The right opportunity doesn't appear out of nowhere. And fear doesn't just vanish. People wait for external circumstances to change before they act. But it's the other way around. Circumstances only change when you do. The secret is that life responds to who you are right now, not who you plan to be someday. And once you understand that, you stop waiting. You stop hesitating. You stop living for tomorrow and start moving as if everything you want is already here. The people who win at this game are not the ones who work the hardest or wait the longest. They are the ones who move with certainty. Even when there's no evidence that they should. They don't wait to feel ready. They don't wait for permission. They move first, and the world catches up. It's not magic. It's alignment. Your life is always a reflection of what you believe to be true about yourself. And the moment you change that belief, everything else shifts with it. You don't have to fix your life first. You don't have to fix yourself. You just have to become the version of you who already has what you want, and the rest will follow. Think about this. How many times have you said, I'll be happy when I get the job. I'll feel confident when I make more money. I'll be worthy when someone loves me. But it never works like that. You keep chasing, and it keeps running. Because the very act of chasing says you don't have it. And the universe listens. What if you stopped chasing? What if you stopped needing? What if you lived today as if it was already done? That's the shift, and it changes everything. Take Emily, for example. She was always waiting for the next thing. The promotion that would finally prove she was good enough. The relationship that would finally make her feel loved. The number in her bank account that would finally make her feel secure. And she worked hard for all of it. She read the books, took the courses, did everything she thought she was supposed to do. But no matter how hard she tried, nothing seemed to click. She was stuck in a cycle of almost but not quite. Until she realized she was doing it backwards. Emily stopped waiting. She stopped looking for external validation to tell her she was worthy. She decided to act as if she already was. She showed up to work like she already had the promotion. She treated herself with the same love she was waiting to receive from someone else. She made decisions like someone who already had financial security, and everything changed. Within weeks, she was offered a new role, without applying. She met someone who saw her value immediately, not because she convinced them, but because she stopped trying to. And her finances improved, not because she hustled harder, but because she stopped acting from fear. She aligned with the version of herself that already had everything she wanted, and reality followed. This is not about pretending. It's not about faking it. It's about becoming. When you become the person who already has it, everything shifts, and the universe has no choice but to match that energy. But most people never get there because they're too busy reacting to what's in front of them. They see lack, so they feel lack. They see rejection, so they feel rejected. They see struggle, so they live in struggle. They wait for the external world to change so they can feel different. But that's not how this works. The internal shift has to happen first. You feel different, and then the world changes. You act as if, and then it becomes reality. This is what the greats understand. The people who seem to live effortlessly, attracting opportunities and success without trying. They aren't lucky. They aren't special. They've just mastered the one thing that makes all the difference. They stopped waiting for proof. They decided to live in the energy of certainty, even when nothing around them suggested they should. And that energy created the proof they were waiting for. It's not about doing more. It's about becoming more. And the more you become, the less you need to chase. Because the things you want are drawn to you like a magnet. People feel it. Opportunities feel it. They don't know why they're drawn to you, but they are. And it's because you're no longer sending out the energy of lack. You're no longer chasing. You're being. And being is the most powerful energy there is. You have to ask yourself, right now, what version of me am I living as? The one who hopes, or the one who knows? The one who chases, or the one who receives? Because your life will mirror that back to you, every single time. And if you want something different, you have to become someone different, not tomorrow. Now, think about how nature works. It doesn't chase. A flower doesn't try to be beautiful. It just is. And people are drawn to it. The sun doesn't try to shine. It just shines. And everything grows because of it. Water doesn't try to flow. It just flows. And it carves mountains over time. Nature moves in certainty. It doesn't question its worth. It doesn't doubt its purpose. And it never forces. You are nature. And you are most powerful when you do the same. This is the backwards law in action. The more you let go, the more you receive. The less you chase, the faster things come. Because chasing creates resistance. Letting go creates flow. When you stop gripping so tightly, you create space for everything you want to find you. But most people are too afraid to let go. They think letting go means giving up. They think detachment means not caring. But it's the opposite. Detachment is ultimate power. It's saying, I trust so deeply that I no longer need to control this. I am so certain it's already mine that I don't need to chase it. And the universe rewards that energy every single time. James lived this. For years, he chased money. He worked 16-hour days. He read every book, took every course, did everything the experts said to do. And still, he was broke. Until he stopped chasing, he decided to become wealth. Every morning, he sat quietly and felt rich. Not visualized it, he embodied it. He walked differently. Spoke differently. Made decisions like someone who didn't need anything. And within months, everything shifted. Clients appeared. Opportunities showed up. His bank account grew, not because he worked harder, but because he finally stopped acting like he was lacking. He stopped chasing and started being. And the universe responded. This is not optional. This is not something to try someday. It's a law, and it works whether you believe in it or not. The question is, are you going to use it? Or are you going to stay stuck in the cycle of chasing and waiting? Because no one's coming to save you. No opportunity will magically fix it. No amount of grinding will rewrite your identity. You have to do it. You have to shift first. You have to decide you are already the version of you who has everything you want. And then act from that place, consistently, relentlessly, without needing proof. And then, the proof will come. It always comes. But only after the shift. Only after you stop needing and start being. Only after you stop chasing and start receiving. Only after you stop doubting and start knowing. That's the moment everything changes. And it can happen today, right now. If you decide it does, there comes a moment in every person's life where they have to make a decision. Not a decision about what to do or what to say, but about who they are going to be. That moment comes quietly, without fanfare, without warning. And when it comes, there's no announcement that this is it. But deep down, you know. You can feel the weight of it. The choice that will shape everything from this point forward. It's the choice between continuing as you've always been or stepping into something greater. Something that's been waiting for you all along. Most people never make that choice. They let life happen to them. They wait for things to get easier. They wait for someone else to make the first move. They wait for permission. But the people who break free, who rise above, who change everything, they don't wait. They decide. And then they become. Not because they're special. Not because they have more time, more money, or more talent. But because they understand the secret most people never figure out. Life isn't about what you're given. It's about what you decide to be. Look around you. Every person who has ever done something extraordinary made the same choice. They chose to believe in their vision when no one else did. They chose to act from certainty when they had no reason to. They chose to be the version of themselves who already had it, long before the world reflected it back. And in doing so, they made it real. You can do the same. Right now. This moment can be the one you look back on years from now and realize it was the turning point. But only if you choose it. Only if you stop waiting and start becoming. The world is full of people who are stuck in a loop. They think if they work harder, push more, and grind themselves into the ground, they'll get ahead. They think if they just chase a little longer, the thing they want will finally give in and come to them. But it never works like that. Because the act of chasing only creates more distance. The energy of need only attracts more lack. And the universe is always listening. But when you stop needing, when you let go, when you stand in the certainty that it's already yours, everything changes. Opportunities come to you. People are drawn to you. Success finds you effortlessly. Not because you fought for it, but because you aligned with it. It's not easy at first. You've been trained your entire life to believe the opposite. That hard work is the answer. That struggle is noble. That you have to suffer to succeed. But the truth is, the universe doesn't reward effort. It rewards alignment. It rewards energy. It rewards the person who becomes before they receive. And you can feel the difference. You've felt it before. That moment when you stop caring so much about what happens, and suddenly things fall into place. That moment when you let go of trying to impress someone, and they become more interested than ever. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. So now it's time to make a different choice. To stop living as the version of you that's waiting. And start living as the version of you that already has it. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to return to who you really are. Before the doubts. Before the fear. Before the conditioning that told you had to earn your worth. You've always been enough. You've always had everything you need. The only thing missing is the decision to step into it fully. To stop hesitating, to stop questioning, to stop waiting for someone else to tell you it's time. This is your time. Right now. Not because someone said so. Not because the stars aligned. But because you decide it is. That's the only permission you've ever needed. When you move from that place, everything else moves too. The people, the opportunities, the circumstances, they rearrange themselves to reflect your new identity. And it happens faster than you think. Because the universe doesn't care about time. It cares about energy. Shift your energy, and time collapses. What once seemed far away becomes close. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable. You've seen it happen. Maybe not in your own life yet, but you've seen it in others. The people who seem to have it all. The ones who succeed without effort. Who attract everything they need without chasing it. And you've wondered how they do it. The answer has been in front of you the entire time. They're not chasing. They're not hoping. They're not trying to be worthy. They already are. They already have. And the universe responds accordingly. You can do the same, but you have to choose it. You have to become it. Not tomorrow. Not when you think you're ready. Now. It's not about pretending. It's about embodying, living from the end, acting as if it's already done. Because when you do that, it is. And yes, the doubts will come. The old thoughts will try to pull you back. They'll whisper that you're not ready, that you need to work harder, that you need to prove something. But you don't. You never did. The proof is in the decision. The power is in the identity. Become the version of you who already has it, and you'll find everything else falling into place. This is the backwards law in action. Stop casing. Stop needing. Stop proving. And start being. Start embodying. Start knowing. The game changes when you do. And it can change right now. Imagine your life 6 months from now. Imagine waking up in the reality you've been dreaming about for years. Not because you finally got lucky. Not because someone gave you a chance. But because you became the person who always had it. You walk differently. You talk differently. You make decisions from abundance, not fear. You don't second-guess yourself. You don't wait for permission. You move with certainty, and the universe keeps up. You're not reacting anymore. You're creating, you're not chasing anymore. You're receiving. And it's effortless. Because it's aligned. This is not about doing nothing. It's about doing the right things, from the right energy. It's about taking inspired action, not desperate action. It's about trusting the process, and more importantly, trusting yourself. You already have everything you need. Right now. The only thing left is to believe it, to embody it, to become it. And when you do, life gets simple. Not because it's easy, but because you're no longer fighting it, you're no longer resisting, you're flowing. This is how the great ones do it. Not by working harder, not by grinding longer, but by aligning deeper. And you can too. But only if you choose it. So here it is, your moment. The decision that changes everything. No one's watching, no one's waiting, except you. Are you ready? Because the second you say yes, the world shifts. You've been waiting for a sign. This is it. Stop chasing. Start being. And watch what happens next.